Hi everybody, and welcome along to the Production Futures Online 2021 Diversity in Touring panel. My name is Freya. I will be your host today. I am an audio engineer and co-creator of the 3T course, and I have 5 lovely guests on the panel today. We have Adem, Carrie, Keely, Mally, and Alexandra. And if you guys would like to just take a second to introduce yourselves, starting with Adem, please.
Yeah, so my name's Adem Holness. I spend half my week working for Arts Council England, which is the development agency for arts and culture in England, focused on contemporary music, Black music, and grassroots live music. And I spend the other half of my week working as a music curator at the Horniman Museum, where I lead on Black music stuff.
Awesome. Carrie.
I am Carrie Kais. I'm a live sound engineer. I only do monitors, and at this point I only work for Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder. I'm also the executive director of Sound Girls, which is an inclusive organization to help and empower the next generation of women in audio and other underrepresented groups in audio.
Awesome. Thank you. Keely.
Hi, Keely Myers, she, her pronouns. I am a touring production and tour manager, have been in the industry for the last 20 years. And yeah, very happy to be here today.
Thank you. Mally.
Hi, I'm Melly. I am a live sound engineer based in Copenhagen. I am also the co-founder and daily manager of Women in Live Music, which is a European community for women working behind stage, such as stage managers, techs, catering, drivers, tour managers, whatever you would find at a live event production.
Thank you, Mally. And Alexandra.
Hi guys, I'm Alex. I'm a live music promoter at Metropolis Music, which is part of the Live Nation UK umbrella. I'm also the co-founder of Women Connect, which is a female-forward collective creating safer, more inclusive spaces for women, non-binary and gender non-conforming people in the creative industry.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. So guys, just wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you for joining us for this today. I'm going to start off with a quick discussion points, which is how has the past 18 months been for you? And how has the organization that you're involved with supported the community during the grounding of live events with audiences? We'll start with Adem, please.
That's a big question.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's been as crazy like it has been for everyone. I think, you know, so I spent the beginning part of it on furlough from the museum, and then the other kind of part of the week, Arts Council was responsible for administering the cultural recovery money from the government, which is a really odd thing as a human being to do, because of course the impact of COVID has been devastating across live music, which is the thing that I love more than most other things, apart from my family and chocolate. And so there's been a devastation, but at the same time, I've personally been able to be involved in helping some of those organizations and people to be able to get through this period. So it's an odd thing to say, but I felt quite proud that some of that's happened, and that we've been able to invest public money into making sure that people can start to get through it. So it's been a roller coaster, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Carrie, how about yourself?
Yeah, it's been a rough year. I was fortunate that I had enough savings to get through. I think the US differs a little bit than the European community in that our government pretty much didn't have a lifeline for most of the citizens that were out of work. So it's been really hard for people working in live events. They had already entered the pandemic exhausting their savings to get through the slower season. So, you know, as we're starting to come back, we're starting to find a lot of people have moved on. Some really talented techs that are just done And we're able to either find other work within the industry or have left altogether. So that's been hard to navigate, and we'll start to see what the outcome is soon. You know, on top of it, we've lost venues that just are not going to be there anymore for when people are booking tours. And then, you know, we've tried to do our best to help our community, but that's been hard, you know, helping them with, you know, small gift cards here and there doesn't help when they have no income. So, you know, we've just been trying to, you know, we focused on, after the deluge of all the Zoom educational stuff, which was super cool, but it also made people feel very unproductive if they weren't attending all of them. So we kind of stepped back and waited for that to mellow out and started focusing more on, you know, educational programs with mentoring and stuff online.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carrie. Keely, same question to you, please.
Well, first of all, I sat in my pajamas and I did jigsaw puzzles, and I, you know, took the time to go, wow, yeah, some time off. But then I found myself kind of becoming quite busy, being involved with the association tour production group. We started off by a group of production managers putting a guide together for best practices during COVID, when we all thought we might be out touring. And then once that was produced, we started focusing on areas that we felt we would like to improve when, you know, looking to the future of when live events and touring particularly started up again. So these groups, working groups, involved sustainability and mental health and mental welfare, and also diversity, equity and inclusion. And that's the group that I led and lead with Joanna Croxford, which obviously, like quite a few of these faces on here today, have also very kindly given their time to share their experiences in trying to put our heads together and on working out how we're going to make sure that when we are up and running again, we really can support each other in making effect to getting the youth through the door that is going to be inclusive. And of course, most of these, well, everybody on this panel here today has got so much experience in that, has been doing a lot of work already in that. So it was trying to join the dots more, and that's what, you know, what I've been up to really, amongst some other things as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Keely. Amale?
Well, for me, it's been kind of a schizophrenic time, because since there hasn't been really any concert gigs here in Denmark for the past year, I've gone back to my second profession, which is a nurse anesthetist. So I've actually, the last year, been touring Scandinavia as a nurse anesthetist. That's been really weird. And then I have had like one steady gig as a sound engineer, and that has been in the Danish House of Industry, I think it's called, House of Industry, where all the politicians and heads of the Danish, what do you call it, like industry, where they meet to speak about financial aspects, especially during this crisis. So that's been an odd gig as well. When it comes to women in live music, we have also, like Sound Girls, organized webinars to keep up the skills with for our members, and we have started doing some radio shows with relevant topics for touring live events. That's basically it. And now where we have sort of getting the feeling of that gigs are picking up again, and we can see that with those gigs that are coming along now, the anxiety that our members are increasing as well. So we're probably looking into doing some stuff, how to deal with anxiety now where you're getting back to your gig again.
Great, thank you so much, Melly. And Alex, please.
So for the last 18 months, mostly it's just been a lot of kind of scheduling and rescheduling and trying to work out when we can kind of get back to normal shows and all of that kind of stuff. Because the government guidelines are still a little bit blurred in terms of the roadmap and no one really knows what's going to happen. Like, I guess our business is just trying to be supportive in terms of like other stuff that our employees want to do. So we've been hosting a lot of workshops and training, like online stuff. But one thing I'd say has been really a good thing that's come out of this pandemic is we've realized that we need to make our events more accessible in terms of streaming and all of that kind of stuff for people who can't actually physically get to the events when they do eventually return. So we're going to try and incorporate a lot more streaming into our physical events. So yeah, that's something that my eyes have definitely been open to over the last 18 months. We've got this initiative called Crew Nation as well. So that's been supporting people who are in, stage management, tour managers, and all of the kind of behind the scenes jobs at Live Nation and Metropolis, and just trying to support our employees and make sure they're able to weather the storm.
Amazing, thank you so much. And just hearing all of you speak about that, it's so apparent, not just from this panel, but from so many other colleagues of ours in the industry, how we all had a moment of going, oh my goodness, what on earth is going on? This is terrible. And then we suddenly all clubbed together to be a huge support network for the rest of our industry. I think that's really lovely. And it's just testament to how brilliant this industry can be if we put our heads together. So moving on, another quick question. Despite the obvious downsides of COVID-19, many have cited the luxury of time to reflect on crew welfare and inclusion. What steps would you like to see when live events return to improve the diversity of touring crew and their working conditions? I will go to Adam first, please.
It's funny, actually. One of my worries with COVID was that quite a lot of us have really been, so many organizations and creative communities have been focused on diversity, and it's felt like there has been momentum. And I was really worried that when things got really difficult and the impact of COVID, that was all going to go out the window, because we were going to get down to bare bones, and that could be seen as a luxury. And with everything that's been happening over the last year, it has felt like people still understand the importance of equity and equality. So I guess what I would like to see is the momentum that we've experienced over the last 6 months really continue as stuff starts to pick up, and feel like it is still at the top of the agenda, that we know that we need to kind of, as a community, push further so that our work and our society is more equal. So yeah, I hope to see more of that.
Yeah, same here. Thank you very much.
Answer the question.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Carrie.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last year, a lot of people and a lot of groups have been focused on that. A lot of promises were made last year that people were going to do better. So we're going to start to see that hopefully soon. We'll see, it's easy to talk about it and say, yes, we're going to do it. But the people in hiring positions seriously need to either reach out to groups to find people to interview and consider for the gigs coming up. And that starts from the top down. Each artist has to kind of make that a demand of their management and production managers to, actually look at other people's resumes and consider them and interview them. Sound Girls have been working with Diversify the Stage this last year, which is fantastic, and Roadies of Color. So hopefully we're going to start to see more diverse people on our tours. And that's all. We just got to keep pushing towards that goal, so that tours start to look more balanced with people working all the positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, it has to start at the top and people do have to take notice. So it's, yeah. Thank you very much. Keely, same to you, please.
Yeah, I mean, following on from Carrie and Adam, it's of course we want to see more unrepresented and marginalized groups within touring and live events. I think there's another side of this as well, which is educating the people within the touring to making sure that these spaces become and are inclusive, and that it's brilliant that a lot of people are doing work and holding up the mirror to themselves and looking at breaking down their biases or what might have been preventing them from hiring people from marginalized groups, but there's a wider group, there's a wider community as well, so it's making sure that is that's followed through throughout to creating this family that we create on tour, and that everybody is also part of that journey too, because otherwise we will see an influx of new people. And as Carrie is saying, let's hope that the people in the hiring positions are going to give people that they wouldn't typically go to jobs, and looking at other resumes and making sure that not only are they being considered, they're actively going out and helping, but also supporting that journey as well when we do get new people coming into the world of live events and touring, and making sure they're supported, because there's going to be a minute that it's going to take for people to for that shift, and it's not going to happen overnight, and but hopefully we're going to be so busy when we do start up again that there's going to be enough jobs for everybody, and everybody's looked after in the way that they should be as well. And I think that's really important to also consider. So yeah, joining these dots with as I said, everybody on this panel has been doing such amazing work anyway with their separate charities or organizations or not for profits, joining those dots and then making sure we're all being held accountable and pushing through. That's what I would love to see.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Keely. Mally, same to you, please.
Well, in Wilm, we would really like to see that the backstage area becomes more inclusive in terms of live event productions ecosystem. Because this crisis had really shown that the whole backstage area is not really acknowledged enough in the ecosystem. So we are hoping to push a little bit more for that to get more accepted. Besides that, Wilm will of course continue pushing for more diversity backstage. Because again, how can you talk about diversity if you only look on stage and not behind stage? That's one thing. And then we have, during this lockdown, we have created something called the Mother Crew group, because we want to put some focus on touring moms and expecting moms, both on stage and behind stage, because the working condition for this group is like non-existing, it's miserable. So we need to talk about that and improve those conditions. Another thing that Wilm is working on, has been working on since last summer, is the creation of a European live event council, because we have noticed that there's a huge lack of communication between our industry and respective governments, and also with the EU Parliament. So it's hopefully going to be live in a couple of months, and with that we hope to improve working condition all over Europe with this council, and including the question about diversity, more diversity, both on stage and behind stage.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mally. And Alex, please.
So there's a couple of organisations that I've been working with to try and help diversity behind the scenes, like Mali was saying, like on stage and off the stage as well. So there's organisations such as the Black Music Coalition, Women Connect, Be Seen Project, Be Heard Project, who are doing a lot to kind of just increase the opportunities for ethnically diverse applicants and also senior members of staff, because that's where we're seeing a lot of the statistics kind of drop off in terms of senior members of staff get the applicants, and there are a lot of entry-level jobs where we do have kind of like ethnically diverse statistics, but they don't tend to be kind of followed through as you go up the hierarchy, so to speak. So I mean, we represent artists from so many different backgrounds and walks of life, and we believe that should be represented behind the scenes also.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex. So moving on to our next point. From speaking with colleagues and members of organisations you're a part of, what are the biggest barriers that industry newcomers face? We'll start with Adam again, please.
Yeah, following on from Alex's point, actually, I think we are, generally speaking, pretty good at sort of entry level and recruiting people. You know, there are lots of entry level jobs, but as Alex was saying, the kind of more senior that you go right across music, not just live music, is where you tend to see less diversity. And at the risk of getting massively academic, I think part of that is because there are barriers that people experience associated with their identity, that the more senior you get, the harder it is to understand what those barriers are. So you feel like, oh, I'm successful because I've worked really hard. And, you know, so what I think is, and that's of course is true, but not everybody has the same opportunity to work that hard. Maybe they're on maternity leave, or they have childcare, or they care for somebody else, or whatever the issue is. There might be something else that stops people from being able to work that hard. So I think, as well as kind of getting people in, it's about the culture and about the structures that you've got in place that mean it's truly like an inclusive environment. I remember a project I was working on, it was a little UK tour, and some of the crew were just making some like really sexist jokes, which like alienated female production manager that we had. And luckily I caught wind of this and was able to like help manage the situation. But in other circumstances, that might have just gone ahead, and then that person might feel like, actually, that's not a space for me. So really, it's like, how do we make sure the culture of our workplaces and the structures enable everybody, all types of people, to feel comfortable and be themselves and show up and have the opportunity to work hard? I think it's about that for me.
I think that's a hugely, hugely important point that you bring up, Adam. So thank you so much for that. Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of barriers, starting from just starting out going to school. You know, we have members that, you know, they don't even make it past school because they find the environment so toxic. So it needs to change in education, and the people that are teaching audio need to be aware that it's not just for white men. And they're there as an instructor. I don't know why an instructor would ever think it was okay to make their classroom toxic, but evidently they do. So that's the first barrier. The second barrier is just the industry overall is super tough to get your foot in the door. So people that are in positions that can bring these people in should be doing everything that they possibly can to at least let them get a foot in the door. And then, you know, on tours, they can be super toxic environments, you know, and that's, yeah, 15 guys and that's it on tour, and it's just like Wild West. So, you know, you know, we need to bring the people up that have made it through the educational process, and anybody that's in a position, you know, I just went through back through my list of recommendations when I get calls and I can't do a gig. to make sure that it's up to date and I'm providing a diverse range of people. Also people that maybe that don't typically get a chance. Our networks are super tight, which is good and it's bad at the same time. If I'm referring people, I want to know them and I've worked with them before, and know that I'm referring someone that can do the job. So I have my network, and then someone else has their network, and these same people get recommended. So if you can fit in someone else to that network, that would be fantastic.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much, Carrie. Keely, please.
Yeah, I mean, just want to pick up on a couple of points that both Carrie and Adam have said. I mean, education, as we know, is a big one, because especially when we're talking about touring, music touring, of course, there are some colleges and schools out there teaching something to do with live music live music, and Carrie's touched on audio technicians coming through and learning about maybe desks or whatever in terms of audio, but there's nothing in terms of overall touring. And it's strange, from having an industry that doesn't need a qualification, why we aren't having more people coming through the door, because you don't need to hit certain grades in order to get into our industry. So then you've got to look further into that and go, well, why is that then? Why is this such a closed off network of people? And it comes down to nepotism, and it comes down to, as Carrie's saying, the people that and they get recommended. Well, if the majority of people in the industry are, white men, then the circles aren't going to go that far enough. And that's where we, all come in, and now we start looking at our address books and extending that further and further. And so, I've tried, I started on my website trying to kind of, for my own, I guess, giving back, trying to extract the things that I know about touring in my head, and I'm just starting to build an education page where I can, try and take the mystique away from touring, and explain what roles there are, for example, within a touring community. Or there are other people out there doing it a little bit better than me. They've gone way further, and I actually put it on my website, which is globaltouringoffice.com, pointing people in the direction of people. There's Tour Management 101, and there's I think Jane Kellogg, and a bunch of people that are explaining about touring. And I think that really helps, so people know that this industry exists, know that this could be an option. Seeing people in those roles that are representative of yourself is also going to help getting people through the door. And I think, kind of touching back on what Adam was saying about, having people that might not be given chance to work as hard. I think even when people are working as hard, they're not being given a chance, and that is the problem. And that's what we've got to change, because it might come down to luck, or it might come down to some discrimination and prejudice, and those are the barriers that we got to smash through and do that as a community. So yeah, I think that's what I find are some of the barriers that we can look at, and we can kind of take apart. We can start getting a more inclusive and diverse crew and representative of marginalized groups.
Great. Thank you so much, Keely. Mally, please.
Yeah, as it's already been mentioned, barriers are lack of network, mentors, and role models. But again, there are all those, lots of great communities out there, like Sound Girls, Women Live Music, and some of the other that I've been mentioning here. But one big barrier I can see for a lot of newcomers as well is patient. They're not patient enough, because it does take a couple of years to build up a network, get the right skills, and get enough experiences. And that goes for everyone. So you really need to bring in a lot of patience as well. Again, like Carrie mentioned earlier, a lot of people are dropping out of this industry and they probably won't come back. So that opens up a lot of new opportunities. So grab them.
Brilliant. Thank you, Melly. Alex, please.
I kind of, I'm just going to piggyback on everybody else's points because they all make so much sense. And I guess there's so many barriers to entry, but in my own experience, I guess some of the biggest barriers have been race, gender, followed closely by like ageism. That's something that a lot of people don't speak about. I'd like to see employers kind of have a more open dialogue about how nepotism has affected the workplace and actually create tangible opportunities for a diverse range of people. I found that there's a real lack of education around the jobs within the music industry. Like when I was coming up, I didn't really know, I knew I wanted to be involved in it, but I didn't really understand what the jobs were behind the scenes. So yeah, I guess having a lot more mentorship available and free opportunities too, because I know some people can't afford to do like internships that are unpaid and apprenticeships that don't pay well. So that's something that is also a massive barrier. They just don't have the money to kind of support themselves, but they do want to be involved in the industry. So I say there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, it's just to jump off of that point that you made also, the way that education is kind of handled within the industry it can use some changing, I think. And I think that's something that's kind of become apparent as we've all sat down over the past few months, year, kind of looking into it going, oh, actually, how do we look at this? So yeah, thank you so much. Last question. There may be people watching this chat who might feel like they don't fit into the role of a conventional roadie. What advice would you offer them? Adam, please.
Well, I say this not as a roadie, I think it's important to say, but I feel like for me, I am somebody who has never fit into I've never seen somebody like me doing the sort of stuff that I do, and you just gotta give it a go. Like, I think all of us in this conversation and in our sector, we are ultimately joined up by the fact that we love music. I think that's, you get it. Not to say get into music if you don't want to make any money. That's not what I'm saying, because I think everyone should get paid. But we're usually at this, our primary motive in doing this is that we love music, and it's a particular kind or not. And I think lead with that. It's really good to hear about the conversation about nepotism, because and how damaging it can be. But on the flip side, it does create an opportunity, which is like, get out there and make some friends. And what easier way is there to make friends than by connecting on music? Because ultimately that's what we're all here for. That's what I would say.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Carrie.
Well, I guess a conventional roadie would be a white dude. So I'm an unconventional roadie. I am lucky to work with 10 to 12 other unconventional roadies, probably more, on our tours. So it's not a barrier. Go for it, you know. Hopefully our industry will start hiring more unconventional roadies.
I hope so too. Yeah. Absolutely. Keely.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. That's what we want. Don't look to the conventional roadies. I mean, of course, you know, this isn't about replacing what is known as the conventional roadie. This is about opening this space out and having a more diverse point of view, and people coming from all walks of life, really, to contribute and hopefully make a better community and a what we hope will eventually be a more representative of real life. And I think that there are, I think there's a responsibility for us, those that have been in the industry for a long time, to break down those barriers and make those conscious efforts and decisions and actions in order to make sure those barriers aren't high anymore. And that there's some great, I think, Alex, you touched on it a minute ago, there's some mentorship programs definitely started up. I mean, they existed anyway, but even more so over this period of time, that would maybe be a good place to kind of look to see if you can find yourself a mentor within the industry, do the research and work out, you know, maybe what kind of area you might want to move into. You don't have to settle on that, but kind of getting a bit more understanding. And that, yeah, I think, you know, unfortunately there isn't as much material out there, but now is a good time, better than ever, because people have kind of put their experiences down, either recorded on, you know, various podcasts or websites, things like that, that there is a bit more information than there generally has been. But yeah, I would say reach out to people. People definitely at the moment have more time to talk and give advice. I know, you know, Carrie, I'm sure you've been doing it for many years as well as Mali and Adem, for example, the schemes that you work with. There are opportunities, I think, for people out there, and just don't let it put you off, because the more that we start seeing other people, then the more people will follow, and it will become, you know, hopefully a more normal space to see people from, you know, all walks of life. So that's what I would say.
Great. Thank you, Keely. Mali, please.
Well, if you feel that you don't fit in, then first thing to do is to get rid of that feeling, and then focus on why you're there, and just stick to that. That helps a lot. One thing that helped me, because I'm unconventional as well, was to believe in the 10,000 hours rule. That if you just spend 10,000 hours on something you really love and are passionate about, you'll be really good at it. So there you go.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Mali. And Alex, please.
Everyone's made really poignant points, so I'm going to keep mine short and sweet and just say, be the change that you want to see. There's nothing greater than just doing that.
I love that. Thank you, Alex. I wanted to just to add to that also, that at the moment and moving forwards, I'm hoping that there is no longer a conventional roadie. I think now is the time to not have one anymore. And also on offering advice, get in contact with people. As Keely was saying, so many of us have been so bored of not talking about our jobs for so long that we've put podcasts out there, we've got websites out there, we've got all kinds of things going on. I don't know, maybe we could have some links to organizations, mentorship programs and stuff available for people as well, because they are out there. And I think people's mindset towards education and offering opportunities is changing. So contact us, talk to us, ask us whatever you want. We're here to offer anything. So yeah. Great. Well, unless anyone else has anything to add, I will wrap up there and just say thank you all again so much for being a part of this with us. And thank you to Production Futures for putting this on for us. And I hope everybody enjoyed the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.